Bugungi darsimizda Cambridge 12-kitobimizning test 8 oxirgi testi va oxirgi reading passage reading analizini ko'rib chiqamiz va birinchi navbatda bizdan nima xohlanayotganligini tushunish maqsadida, qanaqa mavzu bo'yicha readingni amalga oshirishimizni bilish maqsadida birinchi navbatda bu heading title'ni o'qib chiqamiz. UK companies need more effective boards of directors degan mavzusida biznes haqida bo'lar ekan. Asosan UK ning kompaniyalari, Britaniya kompaniyalari board of directors, ya'ni effektivroq board of directors ga muhtoj degan mazmunda ekan. Bundan keyin esa bizdan qanaqa skilllarni ishlatish, qanaqa strategiyalardan foydalanishni tushunish maqsadida savol turlariga qarab chiqamiz va bu o'zingiz ko'rganingizdek list of headings bizda 8 ta option bor. Undan tashqari 2 ta, 4 ta, 6 ta, 7 ta savol bor. Bu oson bo'ladi chunki bizda optionlar kerakdan ko'p emas. Undan keyin esa bizda savollar yes no not given savollari va one word only, ya'ni fill in the gap savollari. Bu qismda, o'zingiz bilganingizdek har bitta qismni o'qigan holda, har bitta paragrafni o'qigan holda javoblarni topishga harakat qilamiz va bu paragraflarni o'qiganimizda, masalan, yes or not givendagi savollar yoki bu fill in the gapdagi savollar bizga qaytarilishi mumkin, kelishi mumkin, qaytadan kelishi mumkin. Shuni o'ylagan holda nima qilishimiz kerak? Keywordlarni aniqlab olishimiz kerak-da. Agar paragrafni o'qiganimizda javob chiqib qolsa, birdaniga javoblarni belgilab ketishimiz kerak. Shu bizga vaqtimizni tejashga yordam beradi. Nima demoqchiman? Masalan, paragraf A ni yoki B ni o'qidingiz, tasavvur qiling va A bilan B ni o'qib faqatgina headingni belgilab ketsangiz, paragraf masalan barcha headinglar tugagandan keyin masalan paragraf F o'qigan bo'lasiz. Paragraf A dagi yoki B dagi ma'lumotlar ozmuncha bo'lsa ham o'ziga esingizdan chiqib ketib qolgan bo'ladi. Esingizdan chiqqan bo'ladi. Shuni esdan chiqqanligini oldini olish emas, bu esdan chiqishini plus more efficiency erish uchun, o'sha esda borida javoblarni topib ketish uchun keywordlarga qaragan holda javoblarni birdaniga topib ketishimiz kerak bo'ladi. Masalan, close scrutiny of the behavior of boards has increased since the economic downturn boshlab. Close scrutiny of behavior of boards, behaviorlari aniqlangan, e'tibordan olingan. Banks have been mismanaged for great extent than other businesses. Banklar boshqa bizneslarga qaraganda ko'proq ravishda mismanage qilingan. Board meetings normally continue for as long as necessary to debate matters in full. To'liq tushuntirib bo'lgancha yoki gaplashib bo'lgancha davom etar ekan. Using a committee structure would ensure the board members are fully informed about significant issues. Muhim mazmunlar haqida informed bo'lishini garantirovать qilish uchun committee structure bo'lish kerak. Before 2008, non-executive directors were at disadvantage because of their lack of something. Nimadir yo'qligi sababli disadvantage bo'lgan. Xo'p, endi o'qib boshlaymiz. After a number of serious failures of governance, it's how they're managed at the highest levels. Companies in Britain as well as elsewhere should consider radical changes to their directors' roles. It's clear that the role of board director today is not an easy one. Following 2008 meltdown, which resulted in deeper and more prolonged period of economic downturn than anyone expected, the search for explanations in many postmortems of the crisis has meant blame has been spread far and wide. Governments and regulators, central banks and auditors have all been in the frame. The role of bank directors and management and their widely publicized failures have been extensively picked over and examined in reports, inquiries and commentaries. Hukumat boshqaruvidagi muammolar, neodachalar, 2008-yildan keyingi biznesdagi neodachalar haqida ma'lumot berilgan. Xo'p, close scrutiny of behavior on boards increased. Xo'p, demak bu to'g'ri javob, chunki mana role of bank directors widely publicized has been extensively picked over. Mana extensively picked over bu close scrutiny ni anosi keyword javob bo'ladi. O'sha uchun ham buni yes qilib olamiz. Xo'p, keyingiga o'tamiz. Banks have been mismanaged haqida ma'lumot yo'q. Longer shorter haqida ma'lumot yo'q. Shuning uchun tinchgina hozir A dagi paragraf javobini topib ketamiz, keyin gisiga o'tamiz. Xo'p, A. Disputes over financial arrangements regarding senior managers haqida ma'lumot yo'q. Impact on companies being subjected to close examination. Impact haqida ma'lumot yo'q hozircha, lekin close examination bor. Possible need for fundamental change in every area of business haqida ma'lumot bor. Bu mana every area of business bilmadim, every area. Lekin should consider radical change in directors roles haqida ma'lumot bor. Bo'lishi mumkin. Many external bodies being held responsible for problems. Bor bu mana bu qismda governments, regulators, central banks, auditors have all been in frame. Demak javob many external to'g'ri bo'lar ekan. Katta ehtimol bilan. Xo'p, keyingisiga o'tamiz. Agar javob bo'lmaydigan bo'lsa, keyin belgilab qo'yamiz. Agar mana boshqa nalarman bor, masalan, taxminiy javobim belgilab ketaman, chunki ko'zim tushdi. 3 belgilashimiz mumkin masalan. Bo'ldi hozircha. Keyingisiga o'tib ketamiz. Following number of board members with board enough experience haqida ma'lumot yo'q. Risks that not all directors take part in solving major problems haqida ma'lumot yo'q. Board is not looking far enough ahead yo'q. Proposal to change the way board operates haqida ma'lumot yo'q. Xo'p, keyingisiga o'tamiz. No effect of this scrutiny has been. Mana effect bor. Effect haqida qayerda bordi? Mana impact of companies being suggested here, impact. Demak, ikki bo'lar ekan bu qismda. Bo'ldi, o'qishim shart emas. Ko'rasizmi? Agar e'tibor bergan bo'lsangiz, keywordga impact effect of scrutiny mana. Scrutiny, close examination turibdi. Has been to make governance of companies in general an issue of intense public debate, has significantly increasing the pressure on the responsibility of directors. At the simplest and most practical level, the time involved in fulfilling the demands on board directors has increased significantly. Part-time independent non-executive directors, where once a board schedule may have consisted of between 8 and 10 meetings a year. In many companies, the number of events required board input and decisions has dramatically risen. Furthermore, the amount of reading and preparation required for each meeting is increasing. Agendas can become overloaded, and this can mean the time for constructive debate must necessarily be restricted in favor of getting through the business. Okay. Xo'p, bu effekt bo'ldi. Effekt chiqib ketdi, tamom. Buni tushunarli bo'ldi bu bizga. Faqat bu qismda javoblari bor. Mana banks have been mismanaged, other than other business haqida ma'lumot yo'q, shuning uchun ham not given olaman. Chunki bunga not given olinayotgan sababi 36 ga javobni topdim. Board meetings normally continue as long as the necessary debate matters in full. Bu haqida ma'lumot yo'q, chunki ma'lumot bor, yozilgan. Agendas can become overloaded. This means that time for constructive debate must necessarily be restricted in favor of getting through the business. Demak, bu qismda board meetinglar debate oxirgacha borish uchun restrict qilmaydi. Meetingni debate'ni o'zi restrict qo'yiladi. Tezroq tugataylik, tezroq o'tib ketaylik deb. O'sha uchun ham no olamiz. Chunki uni teskarisi yozilgan. Qanaqa teskarisi yozilgan? Chunki masalan bu savolda aytilgan board meetinglarni iloji boricha o'sha debate discussion tugagan javob beramiz desa, B-da paragraf o'zi oxirgi gapda discussionlarni qisqartirib tashlashimiz kerak, chunki tezroq tugatishimiz kerak bu berilgan narsani degan. Xo'p, bo'ldi hozircha. Often board business is devolved into committees in order to cope with the workload, which may be more efficient, but can mean the board as a whole is less involved in fully addressing some of the most important issues. It's not common for audit committee meeting to last longer than the main board meeting itself. Process may take the place of discussion at the expense of real collaboration. So the boxes are ticked rather than issues tackled. Xo'p, o'z ko'rganingizdek, board business committeelarga bo'lib tashalgan, workload bilan cope qilish uchun, workload ishlatish uchun, lekin less involvement bo'lsa kerak bu javob. Demak, lekin as a whole board will be less involved. Kamroq involve qilingan bo'ladi. Using a committee structure would ensure that board members are fully informed about the significant issues. No, it's less involved in addressing some of the most important issues. Demak, they are not informed. So it's like no again. Xato bo'ldi javob. Yes, not given, no bo'ldi, chunki bu qismda committee strukturasini ishlatish board memberlarni barcha muhim muammolar haqida xabardor bo'lishini ta'minlaydigan, lekin bu qismda committee strukturalar bo'lsa, ular less involved bo'ladi, less aware bo'ladi. O'sha narsani bilmaydi degan javob berilgan. Shuning uchun ham buni o'zbek no deb oldik. Non-executive directors hali ko'rmadim. Balki o'tkazib olgan bo'lishi mumkin. Shuning uchun 39 bir o'qib olishim kerak, lekin 39 o'qib olaman, to'g'ri. Board tend to place too much emphasis on some kind of considerations that are only short-term relevance. Demak, shunda adjective considerations that are only short-term relevance. Short-termni javobini topishimiz kerak. Short-term bu qismda bo'lishi mumkin. Shuning uchun ham hali teginmaymiz bunga. Keyingi o'tib ketaveramiz. Xo'p, C ni topishimiz kerak. Dispute over financial management haqida yozilmagan. Impact ni ishlatib bo'ldik, tort ni ishlatib bo'ldik. Possible need for fundamental change not yet. As a falling number of board members was enough board no. Risk that all nope. A risk that not all directors take part in solving major problems. Bo'lishi mumkin chunki mana bu yozilgan. Board not looking for a head no. Proposal to no. Demak, shunda a risk that not all board directors take part in solving major problems. Haqida komiteyalarga bo'linib ketganligi sababli ular o'shanaqa ish qila olmasligiga qat'iy ma'lumot berilganligi sababli uni oldik buni. Keyingiga o'tib ketaveramiz. A radical solution hope which may take solution a proposal to change why operates like bu solution bo'ldi. Javob o'qishim shart emas. Chunki solution proposal o'sha keywordlarni ko'rsam bo'ldi-da. Masalan, belgilab ketishim mumkin. Masalan, tasavvur qiling, meni vaqtim juda ham kam, 5 minut qolgan. Qarang, hop, solution proposal bo'ldi. Javob belgilab ketaman. Lekin hozir sizga ko'rsatib berish uchun nima uchun javob bo'lishi kerakligi haqida ko'rsatib berish uchun uni oxirigacha o'qiyman. Lekin shunaqa qilib keywordlarni topib ketsangiz bo'ladi. Masalan, ko'pincha javob birinchi ikkita gapda, oxirgi ikkita gapda bo'ladi. Chunki asosiy ma'lumotlar, asosiy tekstni va paragrafi mag'zi o'sha ikkita paragrafda joylashtirilgan bo'ladi. O'sha uchun ham qaraysiz. Radical solution which may work for some very large companies whose business are extensive and complex is professional board whose members would work up to 3-4 days a week, supported by their own dedicated staff and advisors. There are obvious risks to this. It would be important to establish clear guidelines to such as board to ensure that it didn't step on the toes of management by becoming too engaged, lead to running of the company. Problems of recruitment, remuneration, and demands could also arise, and this structure wouldn't be appropriate for all companies. However, more professionals and better informed boards would have particularly appropriate for banks where the executives had access to information that part-time non-executive directors lacked, leaving the latter unable to comprehend and anticipated 2008 crash. Xo'p, bo'ldi menimcha. Not looking far ahead yo'q. Proposal bo'ldi. Falling number of boards. Falling number demadi, experience bo'lsin dedi. Falling number haqida gapirgani yo'q, shuning uchun ham 5 ni belgilamaymiz. Xo'p, demak D bo'ldi. Rangni o'zgartirib olamiz. Menimcha tushunarli bo'ldi degan umiddaman sizlarga. Agar tushunarli bo'lmagan bo'lsa, I'm sorry guys. Like seriously, I'm sorry. That's it. Before 2008, non-executive directors were at a disadvantage because of their lack of information. Had access to, non-executive directors lacked here information. Demak, ularda lack of information bo'lgan. Javobni lack of information yozamiz. Information yozamiz. Information. Boards tend to place too much emphasis on some kind of considerations that are only short-term relevance. Nimaga considerations, short-term relevance haqida umuman hali ma'lumot o'qiganimiz yo'q. Dini ham topdik, ini o'qiymiz, javobini topamiz, keyin sizlarga beramiz. One of the most main criticism of boards and is that they don't focus sufficiently on long-term matters of the strategy. Bu xuddi javob bor. Sustainability and governance, but instead consider too much on short-term financial metrics. Mana javob bor. Emphasis on financial considerations that are only short-term. Mana short-term metric considerations synonym financial bo'ladi. Financial. Too much emphasis on financial considerations that are only short-term. On certain matters such as pay, the board may have to accept the views of someone. The turning of quarterly reporting can distort board meeting decision making, and the directors have to make the numbers every 4 months to meet the insatiable appetite for the market for more data. This serves to encourage the trading methodology of certain investors who moves in and out of stock without engaging in constructive dialogue with the company about strategy and performance, and simply seeking a short-term financial gain. The fact has been worse by changing profile of investors due to the globalization of capital and increasing use of automated trading systems. Corporate culture, adapt, and management teams are largely insensitized to meet financial goals. Xo'p, bu qismda criticism long-termga qaramaydi, faqat short-term finance o'ylaydi. O'sha uchun ham payin topdi mana. Ko'zim tushib qoldi faqat. O'sha uchun ham adab qiladi, o'sha uchun ham yomon ketadigan 40 ga javobni aytib olamiz, lekin boshqa hozir iyni topib olishimiz kerak. Heading nima bo'lganligini. Xo'p, headingga qaytamiz. Financial arrangement yo'q. Every area yo'q. Board's not looking for enough ahead bor. Uzoqqa qaramaydi, short termga, long termga qaramaydi deb birinchi anoda yozilgandi bu. Birinchi sentensda yozilgan. Masalan, one of the criticism, they don't focus sufficiently on long term. Demak, masalan, agar faqat qarang, e'tibor bering, masalan, doim birinchi yoki ikkinchi gapga qarab javoblarni topib olib bo'lyapti-da. Masalan, agar tasavvur qiling, men o'sha matchingga qarab turganimda, matching headingga qarab turganimda, birdaniga birinchi gap o'qirdimda, bo'ldi, long term dedimda, 7 ni olib ketardim. O'shanga ham e'tibor berish kerak. Chunki mana javob bo'ldi. F o'qiymiz, javob topamiz. Xo'p, bizda nima qoldi o'zi? Falling number qoldi, possible need for fundamental change, dispute over qoldi, bo'ldi. Compensation for checks has become a common zone where pitched battles between investors, management and board members are fought, often behind closed doors, but increasingly frequently in fuller presentation. Many would argue this is an interest of transparency, good governance, and shareholders use their muscles in the area of pay to pressure boards to remove underperforming chief executives. Their powers to vote down executive remuneration policies increased when binding votes came into force. The chair of bo'ldi, tamom. Disputes over financial arrangement regaining senior management bo'ladi bu. Job. Pul financial arrangement qancha to'lov bo'ladi, qancha kompensatsiya bo'ladi, faqatgina o'sha ma'lumot haqida. Birdaniga jini ham topib ketaman. Financial crisis stimulated debate about the role of purpose of company and heightened awareness of corporate ethics. Trust in corporation has been eroded, and academics such as this is thoughtful best-selling book what money can buy are questioning immorality of capitalism and the market economy. Boards of companies in all sectors will need to widen their perspective to encompass these issues and may involve a alignment of corporate goals. We live in challenging times. Xo'p, bu ketdi. Nima qoldi o'zi? 3 qoldi, 5 qoldi. Mana bu bo'lmaydi, o'sha uchun ham 3 ni olamiz. Possible need for fundamental change. Fundamental change kerak. Har bir qismda bo'lishi mumkin. Why not? Many external bodies being held responsible. No information about it. Demak, bu qismda 3 bo'ldi. Unchalik tushunganim yo'q, nimaga shu bo'lganligini. Fundamental change, possible need. Needni ko'rganim yo'q. Mana need bor. Shuni oldi shekilli. These issues bo'ldi, involve alignment bo'ldi. Qisqasi shu bilan tugadi. Shu bilan bu qismni tugataman. Keyingi qismga o'taman. Charchadim ozgina. Such as pay the board may have to accept the views of investors. Qana bu investors? Shareholders. Bo'ldi. Shu bilan bugungi darsimiz o'zgarib ketadi. Bu shu qismda javoblarni ko'rgandik, shu qismda javoblarni ko'rgandik. O'qib olishingiz mumkin. Men buni tushuntirib o'tirmayman. Shu bilan agar muammolar bo'ladigan bo'lsa, kommentlarda qoldirishinglar mumkin. Shu joyga tushunmadim, to'g'rilab beringlar. Keyin to'g'rilashga harakat qilamiz. Shu bilan darsimiz o'zgarib ketdi. Ciao guys, see you in the next